Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you missed the last episode, you missed one of the most important parts of the entire visual novel thus far. I feel like I made a mistake somewhere around along the line, and I've ended up with Miharu dead, and Rinka's getting possessed by Parka, and I'm really not thrilled about what's going down right now. But make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me, because you already know your support's greatly appreciated. And without further ado, I'm just gonna get right on into it. I'm not sure if I'm remembering them or if the light is responsible. Chan and Ro, who were eliminated without me ever knowing anything about them. I'm sure they had their own desires in the face of the brief hope that they were given. Keiko, who entrusted her feelings for her child to me. I'm sure she and her husband shared those feelings, hence why a letter was never needed in the first place when naming it. I'm so sorry, Sonia. You wished for our happiness from the bottom of your heart, but I'm the only one who survived. I promise I'll show Pasazir more of the world for your sake at least. Shingetsugu, who loved you as you were his own grandson. Our time together was brief, and though I never came to like him, I can't say I hated him. He had his own conviction in all this, not to mention the things he wanted you to learn. As for you, I can never forgive him for killing Naomi. The despair he went through is something I can't let myself forget, though. It represents the tragedies happening all across the world. His regret represented his desire to live a normal, simple life, similar to my own, yet a much heavier weight to it. He simply wanted that which he never had, so I can't hate him despite what he did. Odette, whose strength never ceased to amaze me, she had accepted her fate, and I'm certain death is simply the end result of life, after all. Her resolve to not look back after is what allowed her to leave on her own terms. I can't condemn Scale for his attachment to life. That's why my only option was to eliminate him by my own will. I may have not been able to condemn him, uh, but I could never see eye to eye with him. I only ever met Federico in the real world once, but his realization that he had been victorious left him shivering with joy. I'm not too sure about his life and how it played out, but I have no doubt that to him it was worth it in the end. Alan, whose sister I resembled, his way of life was something I could never accomplish. That was precisely why I thought he was incredible. And Miharu, who taught me more about who I was than anyone else. I don't know much about being in love, but her confession was no doubt a turning point for me, one so major it changed my entire outlook on how to live. Miharu, Miharu. Grief overwhelms me once more now that Parka's done with her explanation. This is different than what happened with Naomi. Miharu won't come back, no matter what I do. I know I'm gonna feel even worse than I do now when I wake up in the real world. Even so, I need to live on. I'll live my life to the absolute fullest. But I'm afraid that won't be possible. Hehe. A voice rings out. I'm incredibly annoying voice at that. I stressed how important it was to me that you became my vessel, did I not? Let me share why. Her voice gradually becomes more distant. But I already know. It's so I can claim your body as my own, of course. I know because I've been longing for you ever since you met number 2. Your meeting with her was as much as a miracle for me as it was for her. Ensuring that you two remained bound together following that was a simple feat. Your fate had already been intertwined after all. Imagine a spiral in which you both served as primary components, drawing yourself towards one another. I finally grasped my own consciousness. Parker's speech is a bit fuzzy, but I can more or less understand her. This has to be a different process than what she did with Miharu. Your very birth was the result of fate being twisted. You may not have realized, but a sliver of the possible accessible of the power accessible to my vessels already flowed within you. That's why both your mind and body share the same essence as mine, allowing me to show you the product of a true miracle, one that wasn't possible with any other participant. Then again, I doubt you'll be conscious by that point. If I had to describe what I'm experiencing now, it's like it I liken it to having my insides thrown in a blender. The foreign object whirling around within me makes me want to throw up. If my understanding is correct, then she has one thing in mind. She wants to take control of my body. That theory soon becomes conviction. I shall become a resident of the real world through your body. She really is trying to take control of me, but I have no special powers of my own to speak of. There's nothing I can do to stop her. Even so, I can't sit by and let someone wrest my own body away from me. Not even Miharu was robbed of this. I won't let you have your way. I know my mind is being taken over, and yet I'm able to remain defiant. I don't change anything though. Parker's will overtakes my own. I I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Miharu's dead. Miharu's fucking Everything was going so well. Did I make a wrong choice? Should I have declined? I doubt that. She probably would have done the same thing. Damn it. The glow of the morning sun wakes me up. I never would have guessed that the light could sting the body this bad. Myths portray sunlight as a force that can roast humans alive. Now I understand where those ideas came from. Not that I feel any discomfort. Life and pain walk hand in hand. I have yet to experience the latter, but I truly believe that to be the case. Meow. Well, if it isn't Leo, have you been well? Leo hisses at me before scurrying off somewhere. Quite the odd attitude for a cat that was once rather fond of me. Well, this won't do. I should take a moment to calm down. I have become Shishimai Rinka. I am present in her home. Thus, that cannot be Leo. Caution will be key. School seems to be on the itinerary for today. Well, everything should work out once I made my way there. A uniform is required at a school, as I recall. Relying on fate memories, I attempt to locate my own. Other preparations are required before leaving, but those seem to have come naturally. I suppose these can be explained away as habits. I take a look at my new self in the mirror. Shishimai Rinkas were once blazing rubies, but now my lovely amethyst eyes have taken their place. Fancy as they may be, I doubt many people will take notice. Well, all will work out just fine. These are my real eyes, after all. What's with your eyes? Did you start wearing colored lenses? Oh, bother. Who could have thought that my eyes would so quickly become the primary topic of conversation? I mean, they're fucking gold! I am really upset. I am really upset. If Miharu, oh my god. This has to be a bad ending. But where did I go? Might as well see the end of it. This calls for but one course of action. I shall play the fool. Oh, is there something strange about him? No, no. Rather the biggest issue than your eyes. When did you start to sound so elegant? It's not like you. Wait, I'm not mistaking you for someone else. I'm not mistaking someone else for you, am I? This simply won't do. My life as Shishimai Rinka has only just begun. The adorable girl panicking before me was Hitsuji Naomi, my junior 1 year below me, and someone with whom I seem to have a very good friendship. Perhaps it would be best to imitate the style of speech she's accustomed to. And Shishimai Rinka spoke like this, as I recall. What's up, Naomi? You're acting kinda weird. I guess it's you after all, but I feel like I'm getting more and more confused. Actually, do you mind if I ask why you come to school on a holiday? My adaptation seems to have worked. She has given up on trying to make sense of things, but as for her recurring question, I was rather forceful in my means, but I'm not quite used to accessing Rinka's memories yet. After a pause, I finally find a somewhat useful excuse. I forgot. Well, that's very you. We finished our finals last week, so we have until next Thursday off. Whatever why are you here then? I'm returning my book to the library. I was thinking about checking another one out while I'm here too. Mind if I join? Might as well since I'm here. Really? It's rare for you to visit the library. I mean, once in a while is fine. I'm getting the hang of how to talk like her. Displaying around 1/3 of my emotion seems to do the trick. Rinka is not one for books, judging by Naomi's reaction. Quite unlike my actual self, it's taking some effort to conceal my glee. What sorts of books await me within, I wonder? I'm so pissed. The library is a facility within the school where students can borrow all manner of literature, it would seem. The word itself implies as much. The librarian is present despite it being a holiday, too. What an admirable sort. Naomi returns her book first and then sets off to find a new one. Half an hour later, we seat ourselves at one of the public tables. You sure took your time picking one out. Naomi sounds vaguely impressed. Alas, my grasp of the concept of time requires further polish. And Shakespeare, I didn't know you liked his work. He's okay. I once disliked his works, but now they speak to me more now. My current interests may be suspect, but all I must do is make them seem like a natural growth. Keeping one's desires at bay is detrimental to both body and soul. We spend time making small talk following that. The concept of small talk befuddled me before now, but engaging in it with Naomi has proven quite the fruitful experience. All we do is discuss minor trivialities from our lives and the like. Now I understand how most people interact. I must say, though, being able to enjoy conversation without it being at the expense of others is lovely. Um, Naomi attempts to address me, her expression ever so meek. Meek is a rather funny word, isn't it? Perhaps I should try my hand at such an expression. A meek goddess, quite the juxtaposition. Well, former goddess. It's about time we go to the theme park, isn't it? Not to imply that I've forgotten about Miharu, but it's just that Mao seems so sad. She hasn't been able to suggest it herself either, so we plan on going in the first place. Let's just go. We can cry our hearts out together and remind ourselves that we still have each other. I have no intention of becoming Miharu's replacement. I just want to see you two cheer up, even if only a little. What a lovely girl she is. She seems quite fond of number two. Ah, my mistake. I should refrain from referring to it as such in my current state. Miharu took her own life on May 3rd in this world. Over 2 months have passed, and yet the grief has not. Of course, I would never make such an observation aloud. I happen to know precisely how Shishimai Rinka would respond to this. Yeah, you're right. Sorry for putting you through this, but thanks. I'll talk to Mao about it. All right. Her eyes are twinkling with joy. She was able to overcome her own grief quicker than the other two, due to knowing Miharu less, I presume. Forcing those who suffer from grief outdoors is an important skill in its own right, I must say. This is a phrase my grandmother apparently would say often. Having checked out a book, I finally return home. It seems that my eyes will prove to be no issue so long as I act as though all is normal. The issue comes from within, quite a nice saying. I'm doing rather well, if I do say so myself. I think you're a fucking bitch. Once home, I decide to change into my pajama attire. They are somewhat revealing, yet so very comfortable. I leave the book I borrowed from the library on my desk. There's quite a lot on my desk, really. There's no way to bring her back. It's over, dude. By no fault of my own, I must add. A stuffed animal, a letter with nothing written on it, and a key? No, a keychain. Goodness, that hurts. I'm assaulted by a sudden headache. My surprise is the pain comes to revert to my natural speech. I must take care that it doesn't happen in public. I feel myself wanting to not look at these for reasons I can't quite understand. Were these important to me, perhaps? I try to recall, but it feels as though my memories remain off limits. Well then, making my way downstairs to read this book seems like a novel idea. This is a cafe from what I recall. A rather fine location for some reading. Please, Rinka. There's gotta be something. Goodness me, how bitter. Oops. I revert to my normal speech pattern again. I place the blame squarely on this wretched coffee. Cafes should be all about tea, and yet there isn't nearly a drop in sight. Not but coffee as far as the eye can see. I attempt to make some for myself, but the taste is just too much for me. Running the store also seems to be part of my daily life, a fact that leaves me both anxious and excited. The store has remained closed for some time now, so cleanup is necessary. As such, I take some time to wash all the dishes, cutlery, and the like. All this I could do out of habit. I seem to have quite been quite the hard worker. Now then, it's time for me to check if anything's missing. Huh? Isn't this? I noticed an unopened box while checking the cupboards. Wait, a rather heavy one at that. I assume that more cutlery is obtained within. Far be it from me not to make use of new goods. Thinking that, I open it up. Ugh. Yo! Wait! It's just like the bag, so the cups never disappeared. A sharp pain stabs through my temples once more, far worse than the previous episode. Another headache, I presume. So this is a good thing, because the cup has Miharu's. If we never went on a date with her, that would have never happened. Odd, considering I supposedly not one to suffer from them often. Perhaps I'm not simply used to this body yet, leading into a premature exhaustion. I should finish with hate and sleep early for the night. I have a long life ahead of me. It would be a shame to overexert myself at this stage. 2 mugs are within the box. I take one of them out and inspect them. Both have mascots printed on them, although they don't seem to be made for children. I'm willing to assume they're not used for this store. Ack! The closer inspection, I notice 2 names inscribed on them. Shishimai Rinka, that's me. The other says Miharu Mishima. A pair of mugs for good friends, I presume. Curious as I am, I would much rather avoid another headache today. I can attempt to recall at a later date. Give it back. I hear a voice addressing me. Well, it's one that I've been trying to ignore, but perhaps I should give it some attention now. It's coming from none other than myself, after all. No can do, dear. All that you are belongs to me. The pain caused by my headache worsens, leading me to collapse. Come on, Rinka! Please! There's gotta be something that you can do. Please! Oh my god. Please. I was able to keep our promise. What promise might that be? About there being sides to myself and Miharu that only we know about. It's a matter of time, I'm afraid. The memories you want to keep from me will unveil themselves the moment I grow accustomed to your body. Sorry. Oh, yo! I love this music! Dude, the breakthrough! Sorry, but they won't. It's my body, so it's time you give it back. Quite the slow one, aren't you? My consciousness have already overwritten yours by this stage. Funny how you can say that despite me being able to talk to you right now. Even more hilarious is that you're the one who gave me a hint in the first place. You said something about my birth and fate being twisted, right? If I was born with a similar power to yours, then I should be able to copy what you did to me. No! Such a feat will prove impossible! I used the energy gathered within the Court of Fate to implant my consciousness over your own, energy that you lack. Trust me, you're in for a surprise. I know that what's going on with my own body more than you will ever. Cease this at once. Should your consciousness remain intact, then it will be a similar state to when I was housed in a vessel. You should count yourself blessed to avoid complete erasure by my part. I'm sure you understand the possible outcome of trying to reimplant yours. Don't worry, I won't fail. That energy you used was never yours in the first place. Are you implying that it came from each participant's feelings, making it special somehow? Energy lacks free will, my dear. Surely you've never attempted to hold a conversation with electricity. You may never know until you try. Failure will result in complete erasure. You won't be able to appear within the dream world. A clever individual will be satisfied with what they have. You may observe the world from within me. Besides, I'm having ever so much fun. I can't afford to give that up now. Shut up. That body's mine, and I'm gonna take it back. Very well, then. Allow me to obliterate every last trace of you tonight. At least she's fighting. Please win. The results of her finals served as the last chapter of my first semester as a second-year student at Emeka. Mal comes over to bother me while I'm taking a peek at them. Yo, how'd it go? Her eyes are red. This is a good sign. Managed to get over 60 for every subject. All that studying paid off. I just want to say 60? Oh, good for you. Mal looks away from me. That makes it obvious I managed to outdo her this time. And she's probably still sad about Miharu. Man. Can she bring Miharu back, though? I use this window of opportunity to snatch her report card from her, only to be shocked with what I see. Well, I mean, I hate to rain on your parade after you studied so hard. She managed to score about 10% higher than me on every subject. She said she didn't want to rain on my parade, but I know that's not the case. She just wanted to take me by surprise. The proof is in the pudding being her grin in that case. Anyway, let's forget about exams. What do you want to do for summer holidays? Naureen's going on vacation with her family until August. Said she's going to have to start going to cram school. Youngsters these days sure work hard. We'd already agreed to go to Stardust Kingdom next Friday. We have nothing else planned, though. None of us are in any clubs, so there's little reason for us to come to school during summer. Naomi will probably drop by the library every now and then, but I have no intention of joining her. I tried to read that Shakespeare book that's sitting at home, but that's pretty boring. I'll probably see Mao a lot, but I'd rather all three of us be together if we're doing something special. There's one other thing, though, something that we have to do no matter what, something I promised back then with her. We have to go see the fireworks display, just like we promised, with Miharu. Huh? Did we plan on doing that? I'm kind of foggy on the details anymore. We did. Don't worry, I'm sure Naomi remembers. Oh, really? Okay, guess we did then. Today will be the first time in a while that we've all gotten together at Lionhouse. I'm not really sure which parts of my memory are correct in relation to the current world, but the thing is, I don't really care. Not now that Miharu's gone. I'd rather look to the future than think about the past. I keep the store open until the evening after that, and I spend time relaxing. I think back to that night, when I spoke to Parka about the 11th election. I'm sure my existence was on the brink of fading away, but I was able to re-establish dominance thanks to Miharu. Our knowledge of sides to us that no one else knew helped me keep control over myself. That's the only reason I can think of. Parka may know more than I do, but it's possible that she doesn't exist within me at all anymore. I am, and will ever be, Shishimai Rinka. Time to sleep. It's that time of year when I start to get sick of how warm it is. Meow. Leaf plods in as I dive to my bed. It jumps and curls up beside me. Tonight would have been the night of the final election. I never did find out what would happen if Miharu and I elected one another. I couldn't bring myself to finish the diary either. Not that I would be able to decipher the English now that my card book disappeared along with the Court of Fate. Naomi lost most of her memories regarding Divine Selection too, so I doubt she'll take any pleasure in Actually, this is Naomi. She'd probably love to read it even now. I might just be the only one left who knows about Divine Selection. That's fine. No one else needs to know. My knowledge alone should be enough to support someone, mainly myself. Am I crying? No, I can't do that. I've long since exhausted my supply of tears. Miharu. The man. I think I'm dreaming for a moment, but it turns out I'm just in the dream world, where a voice I've become familiar with speaks to me again. Wow, I've gotta say, I never expected a mortal to set foot in our domain through their own power, even if for just a moment. You aren't the first, admittedly, but the last time it happened was under extremely special circumstances. Not to discredit your effort, of course. You erased all traces of Parker while proceeding through to the end of Divine Selection. If that isn't an accomplishment, then I don't know what is. Pardon me, erased isn't quite the correct term. I'm sure you understand the meaning behind this little clarification. Now then, perhaps it would be best for me to explain things to you. I don't need him to. I don't care about the past anymore. My eyes are set solely on the future. He seems to understand what I'm feeling, which explains his sudden smile. This will be the last time we ever meet, so I'm hoping we could talk for a bit longer. That aside, allow me to pose a question. Are you aware of what remains within you? Okay. I am? Perhaps I should have expected as much, given your ability to reach this stage. Did you opt to lead a normal life despite knowing? Or are you simply waiting to force me to appear? You see, the goddess's power itself still lies dormant within you. I believe Parker referred to the energy as fragments of people's feelings, but make no mistake, it's an energy far beyond human understanding. It's fortunate that everything came to a close at the 11th election. The miracle that is about to unfold would have never occurred had you reached your final destination. You currently have the ability to alter fate, albeit only once. This doesn't surprise me. It's something that I already anticipated. I felt like something irregular had been inside me for the past week. It's the same feeling as when Parka forced herself in my body. There's one condition, however. You know of the counterforce that exists to restore order to fate. It will activate after your alteration. And that's where I come in. I have the power to make the world forget about this, and I'm more than willing to do it once for your sake. I really wish he wouldn't be so roundabout when explaining things. There's no way I'm going to understand any of this, so I wish he'd just be blunt. You've gotten pretty harsh, haven't you? Perhaps a result of having to overcome a long, arduous trial known as divine selection. You have two choices available to you. The first is to create a world where all participants are still alive, rendering the primary juncture of causality obsolete. All memories of divine selection will be erased as a result, your own included. The world would attempt to revert itself back to the current state where you were to remember. The second is to do nothing, except that you have the power available to you, but make no use of it. You may be able to attune yourself to the dreams of another while inside, for a while. Eventually, however, your body will grow accustomed to the power that sleeps within you, leading you to forget about it entirely. I myself have forgotten about you by that time. You may not be as smart as a monkey, but your ability to remember things far outclasses mine. I do not remember. I don't bother to ask how he knows how about a conversation I once had with Mao. Either way, he makes things much easier to comprehend. I just have to make a choice. As for me, you know what? I'm gonna leave this for the next episode. It's already almost a half an hour in, so thank you all for watching this episode. Make sure you click that thumbs up button down below more on me because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. And in the next episode, we will choose whether or not to alter fate itself.